The haunted legacy of the Stanley Hotel, the real-life inspiration behind The Shining. They say every old hotel has its ghosts, but few are as legendary or as terrifying as the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. Perched high in the Rocky Mountains, this grand white building has welcomed guests for over a century. But behind its beauty lies a chilling history of whispers, apparitions, and eerie happenings that inspired one of the most famous horror stories ever written, The Shining. Tonight, we're stepping inside the halls of the real haunted Stanley Hotel to uncover what lingers after dark. The Stanley Hotel was built in 1909 by Freeland Oscar Stanley, an inventor and businessman who co-created the Stanley steamer automobile. He built the hotel as a luxury getaway for wealthy travelers seeking the clean mountain air. But what began as a dream of elegance soon turned into a legend of the paranormal. Over the years, guests and staff began to whisper about strange things, unexplained footsteps in empty corridors, pianos playing on their own, and the laughter of unseen children echoing through the halls. Freeland Stanley himself passed away in 1940, but many believe he never truly checked out. One of the most haunted places in the hotel is room 217. In 1911, a chambermaid named Elizabeth Wilson was injured in a gas explosion while lighting lamps. She survived, but ever since her death years later, guests have reported her presence returning to that same room. Couples staying there often find their clothes neatly folded or their luggage mysteriously unpacked, acts of an unseen caretaker. Some even claim to feel a gentle touch on their shoulder or the faint scent of perfume drifting through the air. Even Stephen King, who stayed in room 217 in 1974, had a terrifying experience that would change horror history forever. King checked into the Stanley with his wife just before it closed for the winter. The hotel was eerily empty. That night, he had a nightmare. His young son running through endless hallways, screaming, chased by a fire hose that had come to life. He woke up in a sweat, got out of bed, and began pacing through the empty corridors. The air was cold and still, the kind of silence that feels alive. By the time he left the Stanley the next morning, The Shining was already forming in his mind. And from that moment, the hotel's fate was sealed. It would forever be known as one of the most haunted places in America. But room 217 isn't the only place where ghosts are said to roam. Guests in room 401 report hearing the sound of heavy footsteps, doors creaking open, and even a man's voice whispering in the dark. The grand staircase, often photographed by visitors, has shown unexplained figures, transparent shapes of women dressed in early 1900s gowns. In the concert hall, staff have heard piano keys playing softly when no one is near. Some claim it's Flora Stanley, Freeland's wife, who loved to perform for guests long after her husband's death. Then there's the basement, where employees refuse to go alone. Shadows move against the walls, and cold spots seem to follow you. One maintenance worker once described hearing a child's laughter, though he was completely alone. Today, the Stanley Hotel embraces its haunted reputation. It offers ghost tours and even a spirited stay experience. Visitors still capture unexplained orbs and figures in their photos. Others report waking to see a woman standing at the foot of their bed, only to vanish when the lights turn on. Some say the energy here isn't evil, it's simply alive. Every corner of the Stanley hums with memories, echoes of laughter, of music, of life long gone but never forgotten. The Stanley Hotel remains one of America's most beautiful and most haunted landmarks. Maybe it's the mountain air, maybe it's the history, or maybe Some places are just too full of stories to ever let go. Would you dare to spend a night inside room 217? Let us know in the comments. And if you have your own ghost story, send it to us for a chance to be featured in the next episode. Until next time, stay curious, stay haunted. The Winchester Mansion, a house built by ghosts. They say a house can hold memories, but some places, they hold souls. In the heart of San Jose, California, there stands a sprawling mansion, so bizarre, so haunted, that it's said to have been designed not by an architect, but by the spirits themselves. This is the true story of the Winchester Mystery House, built by a grieving widow, haunted by guilt, and forever trapped in the echoes of death. Sarah Winchester was the wife of William Wirt Winchester, heir to the Winchester Repeating Arms fortune, the company responsible for the rifle known as the Winchester as the gun that won the West. But their fortune came with a price. The same rifles that made them rich also took countless lives. When Sarah's husband died suddenly from tuberculosis and her infant daughter passed away before her first birthday, something inside her broke. Desperate for answers, she turned to a spiritual medium. The medium told her that the Winchester family was cursed, haunted by the spirits of every soul ever killed by a Winchester rifle. And the only way to escape their wrath was to move west and build a house that never ends. In 1884, Sarah bought an unfinished farmhouse in San Jose and immediately began construction. For 38 years, she never stopped. Day and night, carpenters worked under her direction, adding rooms, tearing them down, rebuilding them again. The house grew to 7 stories tall, filled with twisting hallways, dead-end staircases, and doors that opened into walls. One door on the second floor opens to a sheer drop, straight down to the garden below. Another leads to nowhere. Sarah believed that constant construction would confuse the spirits, keep them from finding her. To everyone else, it looked like madness. Even after Sarah's death in 1922, strange things have been reported inside the mansion. Visitors hear footsteps pacing in empty hallways, doors creaking open on their own, and the sound of hammering, long after the workers are gone. Tour guides have spoken of cold spots that follow them from room to room, sudden chills, and the faint smell of candle smoke. One room, known as the Seance Room, is said to be where Sarah spoke directly to the spirits every night at midnight. She would enter alone, locking every door behind her. When the clock struck 12, she'd ask the ghosts for guidance on what to build next. And when the sun rose, construction would begin again. Today, the Winchester Mansion has over 160 rooms, 47 fireplaces, 10,000 windows, and countless mysteries. Some say the house itself is alive, shifting with the moods of the spirits that linger within. Psychics who visit claim the energy is strongest near the Seance Room and the so-called Spirit Hallway, where guests have seen shadowy figures gliding across the floor. Security guards tell stories of hearing heavy footsteps in the upper floors when the mansion is empty, and lights flickering back on after they've been switched off. It's as if Sarah never left, still wandering the maze she built to protect herself from her own past. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, one thing is certain. Sarah Winchester built more than a mansion. She built a labyrinth of sorrow, guilt, and unanswered questions. They say she was haunted by the souls of the dead. But maybe, just maybe, she was haunted by her own. If you ever find yourself walking the halls of the Winchester Mystery House, listen carefully. You might still hear the echo of hammers in the night, reminding you that some houses are never truly finished. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe to Paranormal Square for more real haunted stories. And if you've had your own paranormal experience, email it to us. Your story might be featured in the next video. Some stories never end. They just keep building. The Amityville Horror House. The true story behind the legend. They call it one of the most haunted houses in America. A quiet home sitting at 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York, where one family's tragedy became another's nightmare. This isn't just a movie or an urban legend. The horrors that unfolded inside this house were very real, and the truth is even darker than the stories that followed. On November 13th, 1974, police discovered a gruesome scene inside the DeFeo family home. 6 bodies, father, mother, and 4 children, all shot in their beds while they slept. The killer was their eldest son, Ronald Butch DeFeo Jr. He claimed he'd heard voices urging him to kill his family. To this day, no one can explain how he managed to move from room to room with a rifle, firing 6 times without anyone waking up. The murders shocked the small Long Island community, but what came next would terrify the entire nation. Just over a year later, the Lutz family, George and Kathy, along with their 3 kids, bought the DeFeo home for a bargain price. They knew about the murders, but they thought it was just a house. Almost immediately, things began to change. Strange cold spots, a constant swarm of flies in the winter, doors opening by themselves, and an unseen force that seemed to move through the halls. George Lutz began waking up every night at exactly 3:15 a.m., the time the murders occurred. The Lutzes said the house came alive at night. They heard footsteps, voices whispering their names, and found a secret hidden room in the basement painted entirely red. Kathy claimed she was physically touched and even levitated in her sleep. One of the children said they saw a demonic, pig-like creature with glowing red eyes staring through the window. A priest who tried to bless the home fled in terror, saying he heard a voice shout, "Get out!" After only 28 days, the Lutz family abandoned everything, their furniture, their clothes, and never returned. News spread fast. The Lutz's story became the foundation of the Amityville Horror, one of the most famous haunted house tales in the world. Skeptics called it a hoax, a money-making scheme. But even decades later, investigators, psychics, and new owners have reported strange feelings inside that house. Whether the haunting was real or not, the darkness of what happened there, 6 innocent lives taken, is undeniable. And maybe some places never forget. Would you dare spend a night at 112 Ocean Avenue? Tell us in the comments below.